Hey, call me Shape. And today I'm reacting to a video titled Pretty Stud Exposes How Feminism Lied to Generations of Women. Let's get right into it.
1 second, feminism is demonizing men for objectifying women, and in the next, it's encouraging girls to sell their body on OnlyFans so that men can objectify them. I mean, which is it? Are you sexually empowered, or are you a victim of oppression? I used to consider myself a feminist until I realized that women were using it as a means to justify going out like this and then complaining about being called hot. Shorty, have you seen your own ass? I swear to God, women are the only ones that can spend 2 hours doing their makeup and picking out an outfit and then still say they don't want to be judged on their appearance. Girl, you literally pulled up your leggings to your third rib and gave yourself the ultimate wedgie. We know you didn't dress like this for you. When you look at the actual definition of feminism, all it is supporting women having access to equal rights. I'm not gonna sit here and call myself an anti-feminist as someone who agrees with the core definition of feminism. But the problem is that the word has evolved to mean something very different. It's not just about women's rights anymore. There are other ideological strings attached. A major concept of modern feminism has been encouraging sexual liberation. This was started partly due to the double standard around sexuality for men and women. When a man frequently engages in casual sex, he's considered a stud, but when a girl does it, she's considered a slut. Sexual promiscuity leads to less satisfaction in relationships for both genders. Just because it's more socially acceptable for a guy to have casual sex doesn't mean women should be trying to match that expectation by normalizing it. Two wrongs don't make a right, and promoting a destructive behavior under the marketable guise of sexual liberation is abhorrent. It's so interesting how women constantly complain about how shallow and objectifying their relationships with men are, but then promote hookup culture, which directly encourages this exact transactional process. If feminism actually cared about women as much as it claims to, the movement would be encouraging them to be more selective about their sexual partners. It would be educating them about the negative effects of casual sex, since we know that it leads to decreased relationship satisfaction, loneliness, and depression. And look, I know people are going to take this as me trying to tell women how to live. That's not what I'm doing at all. You have all the freedom in the world to live exactly how you please. However, where I do have an issue is when a cultural movement is built on a foundation of lies. If you're going to have an entire movement, an entire ideology who claims its very goal is to benefit women, then encourage behavior that actually benefits women. At one point, this movement had genuinely pure intentions. It's the reason I have a right to vote and work and be educated. Feminism changed our lives as women for the better. So I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel like now it's doing the complete opposite. It's a common feminist position to be anti-tradwife. They insist that tradwives have some sort of Stockholm syndrome where they've fallen in love with their own oppression, claiming that it perpetuates traditional gender roles which have held women back. But I thought what actual feminism was supposed to be about was supporting women's freedom of choice. That means supporting them if they choose to climb the corporate ladder and supporting them if they choose to be a housewife. I thought the whole point of feminism was to respect a woman's freedom of choice, even if it's not the choice we would personally make. It was to recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all lifestyle for women and that they should be able to prioritize what's important to them. Feminism will argue against this by saying that choices don't exist in a vacuum and society impacts your ability to make autonomous decisions, but you can make that exact same argument on the other side too. I could sit here and tell you that your decision to be a feminist is because social media has brainwashed you into believing that women are oppressed. So your choice to—
Ooh, I like this girl. I wish she didn't like girls. she has the mind of the woman you want. But a lot of women don't think like this. I guess because they don't like women. When you like women, you become masculine. Anyway, one thing I do want to correct her about. She said that feminism is to tell women to be more selective with their casual encounters or their actual encounters. Here's what I'm trying to say about that. How about we just tell women to keep their virginity? Like, why is that so corny? Why is that, no, we're being oppressed? Why is oppression and virginity in the same sentence, but freedom and being a whore is in the same sentence as well? Like, how? Like, how? What? It makes no sense. I think the virgins are free, and I think the whores are oppressed, right? That's what I personally think. If you are a harlot, you're not free. You're being used. You're a cum rag. You're the wham bam thank you ma'am. But somehow we have tricked women into believing that right is wrong and wrong is right. And they believe it. And this is why if you say a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. I mean, I know so many things that people have said over and over and over again that's not true, but because it's said so often, it's repeated. And once it's repeated, it's almost like it's, all right, now it's committed to facts now. And it's not fact, but it's committed into the facts library, okay? I just find it so fascinating that it took a woman like her to come out and say this. And she's doing rapid fire. Like her jump clips, like her jump edits, what is it called? Jump clips? Yeah, I think it's called jump clips. Yeah, whatever. The fact that she's just rapid firing, it's impressive. She's just giving a lot of information. I can't do a style like this. I like to be unscripted, off the cuff, like right off the cuff, because it allows me to be in the experience. I feel more immersed. If I had to read through a script the way I think she's doing it, I'd be no good. But I respect the people that are good at it. So shout out to you for being good at this, okay? And she's also pretty good at drawing and artistic and stuff like that. But she's really making the point that feminism had a good purpose originally. And somehow it had been hijacked by the women who believe Satan is their daddy. And now because they are perceivably oppressed, now they're trying to become the oppressors. And this is the modern times that we're living in right now.
Feminist isn't a real choice at all, but instead a reaction to your cultural environment. You can run in circles forever trying to make this argument against either side. That's because it's a dumb argument. Who are you to assume that another woman's choices aren't autonomous? The mere assumption of that is actually quite anti-feminist of you. This is the female version of Sneeko calling everyone who disagrees with him a bot. You're accusing grown women of being incapable of coming to their own autonomous conclusions. That means you're doing the exact thing that you constantly accuse men of doing to you. Maybe some women like traditional gender roles. That's cool. Let them do their thing just like you're allowed to do yours. I'm the most masculine woman I've ever met. I should be the first in line to be championing the end of traditional gender roles. But I'm not like this because I'm resisting the patriarchy. This is just a part of how I am. I like buying stocks, playing with boobs. I'm just a chill guy. WAP. Women against porn. Except in today's terms, it means wet ass pussy. With modern feminism currently preaching sexual liberation, it may be surprising to learn that at one point it was the complete opposite. In the 1970s, anti-pornography was a growing part of feminism. And when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense, because it's consistent with the core values of feminism, to demonize the objectification of women and stop the fetishization of sexual violence against them. We know that porn is overwhelmingly aggressive towards women. We also know that consumers are more likely to commit acts of sexual violence, less likely to intervene if they witness an assault, and more likely to objectify and dehumanize women. Porn is seriously bad for both genders, but especially women. So to see the feminist movement glorify platforms like OnlyFans and other adult content feels like a complete slap in the face. How can you possibly complain about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then objectify yourself for profit? I don't understand how modern feminists have come to this conclusion. Actually, that's a lie. I do understand. I completely understand, because it would go against the sexual liberation movement. It goes against the sex positivity narrative. But one honest look at the statistics and it's blatantly clear. There's nothing liberating or positive about this industry. So what happened? Why did the anti-porn feminist protests stop? This article explains it perfectly. Anti-porn feminists were labeled sex negative in an era of feminism that was heavily influenced by liberalism. Individual choices, as opposed to mass liberation, became the forerunning feminist agenda. If that doesn't perfectly encapsulate the modern feminist movement, I don't know what does. The current movement wants all the ideals of feminism without having to sacrifice anything for it. The movement doesn't want to give up porn. It doesn't want to give up casual sex. That would be infringing on my personal freedoms. But maybe true liberation requires some personal sacrifice of those beloved freedoms. You can't eat a pound of cake every day and expect to lose weight. Your goals require a sacrifice. The issue of equal pay is another primary subject that feminists bring up. It's also probably the #1 most misrepresented topic in feminism. The gender pay gap does not exist because of the patriarchy oppressing women. The pay gap only exists because women are more likely to choose lower paying jobs. If you compare a man and a woman working at the same place, in the same position, with the same amount of experience working the same amount of hours, the pay is exactly the same. But when you compare the average income of men versus women, there's obviously going to be a gap. This is because men choose careers like car mechanics and truck driving, whereas women choose careers like teaching and nursing. A quick comparison of these incomes and it's easy to see why there's a pay gap. It's not misogyny that creates this gap, it's just preference. Women have
I want to talk about the pay gap too, because I've worked in industries where women make more and they never talk about it. Like, I'm a personal trainer, right? And, being a personal trainer, there's a lot of sales involved in being a personal trainer, right? And so, we have sales meeting amongst the group of trainers we have. We have about like 30 trainers in our team at our gym. And we have a list of all the people who are the top performers. Let me tell you, all the top performers are women. By a large margin, okay? And honestly, it makes sense because the way women dress in gyms nowadays, right? The way that women or barely dress, right? They barely have any clothes on at the gym now. It doesn't surprise me that they're able to sell personal training better than the male counterparts. And I was telling this to one of my clients. I'm like, you guys walk around with wedgies and I can see every cheek showing in these biker shorts. Like it just sinks inside your butt. The girl said her best. You pull up your pants to your third rib, right? And girls get to work like this. They literally come to work like this. I said, it's funny because us men, we allowed you guys to do this, and you still are complaining. We allowed you to do this, and imagine like how I was like, put it like this. Let's flip the script, right? Imagine if all men started going to gyms and they started going to work and they started going to events, restaurants, going out in public with pants so tight you could see the outline of their boners. And so every man you've seen, you could see an erection in his pants. How uncomfortable would that make you? And she was like, that'll make me very uncomfortable. I'm like, exactly. But you guys are walking around. I can see the print, see your camel print at work. And I'm talking about particularly the girls I work with, even though that might be true for the girls I work with. I'm saying in general, women are at the point now, not just work, at the gym, in public. Women are in public, you could see the outline of their camel toe. And it's just like accepted. Right? But supposedly the patriarchy's keeping everybody down. How come the patriarchy did nothing about biker shorts and camel toes? I mean, when you see a double standard like this and no one talks about it, it's just proof that feminism selectively cherry picks what they believe is inequality and attacks it. But the reality of it is, inequality exists in women's favor and it exists against women's favor. It exists in men's favor and it exists against men's favor. The reality of it is inequality disproportionately affects both men and women. There's certain things that women disproportionately benefit from. There's certain things that men disproportionately benefit from in such ways that we would consider that unfair. But this is why there's a feminine bias and there's a male bias. That's truth. It's just the truth. Okay? And until we get to the point where we can tell the truth about these things, the conversation about feminism is a complete farce. It just is. We are living in the most freest time of humanity, yet women think they're oppressed. And what pisses me off as a black man is that we are riding on the backs of civil rights. Black people in America were gunned down by water hoses, beaten legally, killed legally. Right? You could kill slaves legally. In our country, we still have racist laws on the books. Where crimes for selling cocaine and narcotics like crack, you get more punishment for crack dealing than cocaine dealing. And we know who sells what. We know what communities sell what more of which. You know what I'm saying? I heard that there's 100 times more of a penalty of a sentence, right? 100x more severe punishment for crack dealing than cocaine dealing. And we know there's a race element for it. I'm in a state in New Jersey right now where our oldest gun laws were laws that prevented black and brown people from owning guns. Yeah. But guess what? Now that the law passed, your boy is strapped. But I'm saying that to say that, women, right? They couldn't vote, they couldn't do these things, but it wasn't because they were a woman, we were oppressing them. Y'all compare it. It's not the same. It is not the same. Okay, y'all couldn't vote. Okay, yeah, because y'all weren't working, and y'all weren't in the military. Now that you're in the military, now you're working. You guys can vote, and y'all make it seem like still being oppressed. You are half nude in public. You're making songs like "Wet Ass Punani." You know what I'm saying? I agree that, women should be against corn because it doesn't benefit you guys. It shows you guys being abused, actually, and violence against you guys. You guys are literally objectifying yourself, but then you cry that, oh, I'm being objectified. You think I'm just a piece of meat. My friend, your colleagues are just a piece of meat. And they chose to be that way. I don't know what more I can say.
In the world to go be an automotive mechanic, just like men can become teachers, but that's not typically what each gender wants to do on average. So from the outside, when you show the statistic of the gender pay gap, everyone's jaw drops and jumps to conclusions about sexism, but if you just look a little deeper, it's easy to see why it's there. If you're a woman and you're unhappy with your salary as a teacher, go be a truck driver. It is actually that simple. Something I can't stand about the feminist movement, and really many other modern movements, is how evasive they are to taking responsibility. If you're not happy with your pay, change jobs. You don't have to make it a political movement. You don't have to find someone to blame. You can just do something to change your situation. You can't really talk about feminism without also talking about the red pill manosphere space. This is because they respond to one another culturally. The red pill purports that they have the solutions to these modern feminist problems. Spoiler alert, They don't. The red pill solution is extremely unrealistic for the majority of both men and women. The red pill has this idea that women need to just skip college and go back to being housewives, except that most of the men saying this would never be able to afford that lifestyle. Homie, you don't even have the career to be able to pay for the lifestyle of the woman that you want. The red pill will blame women for failing to fulfill their feminine roles without even recognizing that as men, they're failing just as badly at fulfilling their masculine ones. I really don't think that the red pill's idea of expecting men to be able to afford supporting an entire family on their one income is realistic at all. I think in theory the traditional family dynamic is a great idea and would make very happy, healthy relationships, but in modern times less than 1/4 of men will ever be financially capable of achieving such a feat. In today's economy, the trad lifestyle is reserved for only the most prosperous men. But yet the red pill preaches it like it's the majority solution. Pew Research shows in 2022, only 23% of households had the husband as the sole provider of income. That means 77% of women were contributing to household income. Most guys just aren't out here making enough money to support himself, a woman, and kids. And in today's economy, I would say that's pretty understandable. What I don't see the red pill talking about is how a lot of women would love to adopt the traditional lifestyle, but there's just not enough prosperous men to go around. Given an alternative, many women might very well choose to be a housewife. Feminism might be the only movement that can get away with constantly complaining about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then simultaneously objectify themselves. The problem is that this movement wants all the benefits of feminism without any of its consequences. Say you want equality until you realize that means splitting the bills, unclogging the toilet, and having to kill the spider. In modern relationships, it's common for the financial theory of the woman to be everything he makes is ours and everything I make is mine, rather than both partners contributing equally, which is what feminism claims to want to do. There's a book called Sexual Utopia and Power by Roger Devlin that sums this up perfectly. The modern woman wants all the benefits of a traditional marriage, but is unwilling to pay the costs. She wants a man to marry her without her having to marry the man. Some feminists are even demanding that there be quotas for women to be in executive positions, but they never talk about there being quotas for women in bricklaying. It's clear that modern feminism wants all the benefits of something without any of its sacrifice. Let's be very clear. That is not equality. That's privilege.
That is so interesting what she said. That one of the last quotes that, you know, modern women want they want marriage so men can marry them, but they don't have to marry the man. That's so interesting. They don't want to pay the cost of being wives. That's so interesting. I do want to hold her accountable for misrepresenting the quote-unquote red pill. By the way, I'm not red pill. I'm Christian. I guess you could say I have conservative values. They call it conservative. They call it right wing. I don't have any wings. Okay, I'm not a bird. I don't got any wings. You guys are birds. I don't have any wings. Okay, I'm not a left wing, right wing. I don't have any wings. Okay. But she misrepresented the red pill by saying that the red pill is saying that all women should skip college and get married. They have never... where is she getting this from? She needs to cite her sources. She cited the sources for the book. She didn't cite the sources for the red pill saying that. It's not true. Okay? Even if I'm not red pill, I watch and I observe all these things. I'm not feminist and I observe feminism. I observe all these things. Okay? And so I can tell if you're misrepresenting anything. And I can tell you for a fact, one, the red pill is about male improvement. I didn't say that all women should skip college. I never heard that one time. If anything, it said that college won't make you more desirable to a man. Yeah, it does say that because it's true. You know, because women focus on college and like you said, they eat a pound of cake a day expecting to lose weight. It's not going to work. So that's kind of what the red pill is saying. It's saying that women they want too much. They overvalue themselves. You know, they have a heightened sense of self-value, okay? They overestimate what their real value is. That's what we're saying. We're never said, or they never said, I could say we, oh my God, we, I know. I think people would consider me red pill. That's why I'm just saying we, okay? I don't consider myself, I'm like I said, I'm Christian. So I go with God. There's things I don't agree with that red pillars do, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, we're telling women, hey, if you're average, date an average guy. You guys think you're too good for the average guys. The stat that you posted that only 23% of women are stay-at-home moms, we refer to that all the time. The community refers to that all the time, and they refer to it by saying, all y'all want the top 10 men, the top men and the top 20%. But what about the other 80% of men? The math is wrong. The math is so wrong. It's severely wrong. And so, no, we don't advocate, or the red pill don't advocate. I keep saying weed or whatever. You guys get what I'm talking about, okay? You get what I'm talking about. There's no advocation for women all to be wives and not go to school. That's no advocation for that. I'm okay. I like dating college-educated women. I like women who put effort into life. I don't think women are better off without college education. Okay, you're not because most people don't self-study. I mean, I don't think college education is necessary, but you would have to take on extreme self-study to keep up with people who are college educated, because at least they went through books, classes, courses. They've been challenged intellectually. If you don't go to school and you don't read on your own, you have not been challenged intellectually. Therefore, you're not going to be smarter or any wiser than your efforts. And your actions can't be no wiser than your understanding, and your understanding can't be no wiser than your teaching, than your learning. So I'm completely with college-educated women, completely with it. I prefer them, okay? But I don't want them to think that they're more valuable because of it. I want them to understand that fitness, friendliness, and femininity are not going out of style. They are requirements, okay? An education and a career are icing on the cake. They're not the cake. Okay, I've never seen people just sit around eating. Can I order some icing, please? Give me a plate of icing. No. Okay, so understand that, if you're going to critique something like that, like the red pill, get your information correct. Because just like women, she's misrepresented it. I have never heard this. I'm surprised she even came out with it herself. Either way, great video. I enjoyed it. And it just kind of further proves that men and women, we don't understand each other. There's a language barrier. And that's why my free ebook, Be Attracted and Shut Up, it's on its way. Hopefully it'll be out within this week and within the next 7 days of the recording of this video, of the release of this video. But ultimately, I teach you men, how to have effective relationships with women, the relationships with women that you desire, without struggling. Because a lot of men are struggling. 30% of men under the age 30 have not had sex in the last year. Okay? That's sad. That's horrible. I would have to try really hard in order not to do that. Not to brag and boast, but I'm just trying to say, to me, there should be more options than ever, but a lot of men don't know how to communicate. So this book kind of goes into the fact that men speak one language, women speak another language. Okay? And if you want to be effective in communicating with women, you need to talk like a woman, but think like a man. Kind of like Steve Harvey, but not exactly, okay? Kind of like that, okay? The only difference is, he's kind of trying to suggest that women think like men, but act like ladies. And I'm trying to tell you, you think like a man and talk like a lady. A little bit different, okay? And what I mean by talk like a lady, if you get my ebook, you'll fully understand. But I believe that women don't speak the way men do because we have different goals for communication. When women communicate, their goal is to coddle and feel good. When men communicate, we're trying to learn something. We're not just talking to coddle and feel good. All my male friends, if we're on the phone about business. We're not crying out our soul and our heart to each other. That is beta-ish. But that's all women do. They get on the phone to talk about nothing and hours about nothing. And if you want to talk to girls, you need to learn how to talk about nothing effectively. When I talk to a girl, there's a lot of small talk. No serious stuff, okay? Get the book. The free ebook's going to be out shortly. I'm going to remind you guys when it drops out. It's free. It's free. It's free. And if you like it, share it with someone else that you think could benefit from it. Anyway, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Channel blowing up. I appreciate you guys. Check out some of my other videos. And I'll see y'all over there.